2.4. Buy, rent, or lease. It's important that we know all the terms buy, renting, and leasing and what the differences are, because chances are on the test or final exam we're going to have a question that is comparing different options for these. So I have two examples for you today. Let's go through them. Amanda is a civil engineer. She needs a vehicle to work on average 12 days each month. She has been renting a vehicle while she needs it. The advantage of renting is that she simply fills the gas tank and drops off the vehicle when she's done. The disadvantage is that she has to spend time arranging for the rental, picking up the vehicle, and getting home after dropping it off. She is wondering if renting is the most economical choice, and she's considering different options. She could lease a vehicle, which requires a down payment of $4,000 and lease payments at $380 per month, including tax. She would need to pay insurance at $1,220 each year, which would be paid monthly, and would have to pay for the repairs and some maintenance, which could average $50 each month. For the 4-year lease she's looking at, she would have no equity in the vehicle at the end of the term, since the car would belong to the leasing company. The second option is she could just flat out buy the vehicle for $32,800 and finance it for a 4-year term at 4.5% interest compounded monthly. She would have the same insurance, repair, and maintenance costs as she would have with leasing. However, the equity of the vehicle would be considered an asset. Option number 3, she could just continue to rent at $49.99 per day plus tax within limited kilometers. What we want to do is we want to find the cost, the monthly cost for each option, and based on that, which one would we recommend for Amanda and why? Now, there are lots of different ways that we can look at this, specifically between comparing the leasing and the purchasing. There are different benefits to both, but we'll get to that. The thing about these questions is that there's a lot of different pieces of information that we need to organize, and so writing down exactly what we mean in an organized fashion is going to be in our best interest. So let's talk about that leasing option. So we have a down payment, which is $4,000. Now for this one, since we have a full cost here, we're going to be figuring out how much it costs for all the 4 years, and then we're going to divide accordingly. Whereas for this next one, I think the next option with buying, we can just figure out what the monthly cost is without having to. But because we have this down payment, that's kind of an overarching cost for the entire purchase or the entire cost of leasing, it's important that we find the cost in its entirety. Another thing that we would have to pay for is insurance. So that is $1,220 per year times 4 years, which would be $4,880. Another thing is we need to take into consideration the payments each month. That's important. Monthly lease payments. So since they include the tax, we have $380 times 12 per year times 4 years for a total of $18,240. The maintenance, it's going to be $50 times 12 months per year times 4 years, which will be $2,400. So another way we could have approached this is we could have just taken this and divided it by 4, and then we would just find the yearly cost of things. But this way works too. So the 4-year total is going to be $4,000 plus $18,240 plus $4,880 plus 24,000. No, 2,400. 2,400. For a total of 29,520. When we want to find the monthly cost, we're going to say 29,520 divided by 12 months divided by 4 years to get a total of $615. So that's how much leasing is going to cost. Now with full out buying, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go into our TVM solver, and we're going to have to figure out what the cost of this loan would be per month. Now the thing that we also need to take into consideration is this insurance, repair, maintenance cost that we would have similar to. So the insurance is going to be the same and the monthly maintenance is going to be the same as well. So with purchasing, alright, so we don't have a TVM solver here, but what we can do is, on your final exam, you're not going to be able to have spots for TVM solvers anyway, so it's just good practice to write it out. So we're going to have our N, our percent interest, our present value, our PMT, our future value, our payments per year, and compounding periods per year. She could buy a vehicle for $32,800. Now here's the thing that's tricky, right? You can buy it for $32,800, and your lease payments would only be up to $18,240. So this is the tricky bit, right? And in fact, the overall cost is $29,520. So it seems like buying a vehicle is far more expensive, but here's the thing: it's in the equity. Okay, the equity of the vehicle, what the vehicle is currently worth, is able to be considered an asset, which a leased vehicle could not. So let's figure out in our TVM solver what we need to plug in for these values. So we know that there are monthly payments and the interest is compounded monthly. The future value of a loan is always hopefully zero, and we know that the future value here is going, or the present value here is going to be $32,800. It's going to be 4.5% interest, and the number of payments is going to be 12 times 4, or 48. So we want to solve for this PMT. So we're going to go into our TVM solver and go 48, 4.5, 32,800. Payment, we're going to figure that out. Future value 0, 12, and 12. Going to go up to the payment, figure out what that is. And, oh, did I type in something? I did. Look at this. 32,800. There we go. That feels better. Yes. So we have $747.95. So, a year's worth of payments is going to be 747.95 times 12, which is a grand total of $8,975.40. Annual insurance is $1,220. Annual maintenance is going to be $50 per month, which equals $600. So then the total monthly cost is going to be, we're going to say $8,975.40 plus 1,220 plus 600, and that's the annual cost divided by 12. We're going to get a total of $899.62. So that's for purchasing. It looks like leasing is winning, but remember that equity piece. That's really important. What about leasing? Oh, sorry, what about renting? We did leasing already. We know that the monthly rate is, the daily rate is $49.99, and we want to multiply that by 1.13 to get our value per day for renting. The reason why we're doing this is because we're figuring out what the taxes, what the total after taxes is going to be. So it's going to be $56.49. Now we remember from the question above, or from the instructions, that she needs it 12 times a month. So we're going to take this value, $56.49, and we're going to multiply it by 12. We would get a total of, times 12 days is $677.88. Now this is actually greater than the cost of leasing for 4 years. The answer to this question, or the question says right here, which option would you recommend for Amanda and why? This is tricky because this is kind of based on your personal preference. Now, a lot of people would say, doesn't matter that it's more money. I suggest that she buys it flat out. Some people would say, you know what, she probably doesn't want this vehicle for very long. I would suggest $615 for leasing. And some people for rental, they say, at the end of the day, it's just very convenient. So I would pick renting based on that. So, I mean, we did all the work to show how much money each would cost, but then after that it becomes a matter of personal preference. If we're just looking at the economics of it month to month over 4 years, leasing would be the least expensive option. However, purchasing makes other financial sense later on and over a longer term.